Welcome to the news in details. Now, security organs in Mozambique and Rwanda security forces operating in that country say they have found evidence to indicate that the elements that have been causing insecurity in the province of Cabo Delgado do indeed belong to terrorist organizations. Take a look.
The port of Mosiabo was once a bustling economic hub, but terrorists had turned it into a gateway through which more would pour in from other countries. The terrorists were using the port to bring in supplies and fighters from neighboring countries, from places like Somalia. So establishing their headquarters here was strategic. The fact that they were using it in that way means they have lost an important location, and getting it back will not be easy for them. More than 3,000 civilians had been killed in Cabo Delgado in close to 5 years of terrorism in the province, with more than 800,000 forced to flee their homes. Such destruction could only have been possible with many terrorists pouring in from different countries, and the port provided the means to make it possible.
There is some Mozambicans, Tanzanians, Somalians, DRC bonds, and other country who lead this group. But how they act as a terrorists, they kill people, they destroy infrastructure. If you go around, you will see how they act, what they want. They don't want people living in peace. They are destroying what we achieved.
Nk'uko mwagiye mubyumva n'abantu abenshi nabo muri iki gihugu n'abenegihugu b'iki gihugu.
As you heard, the vast majority of them are from this country, but they are led by people from elsewhere, from different African countries and even possibly the Middle East, who come to support them. We currently do not have irrefutable proof of this, but such information has reached us. Their objective was to use this province of Cabo Delgado as a springboard for a broader plan to bring this part of Africa under their submission as terrorists. Mozambique's government is now looking to help its people in the province that had fled to return to their home areas.
But now it's still area of operation, military operations. So after that, we'll advise our government to bring people who were living here at Musimbo da Praia, because they have to restart their lives. But a lot of them are not around, are in other districts.
Rwandan security forces are seen as brothers and sisters by the people of Mozambique.
About the reception, I will say that we were very well received. As I said, we traveled a long distance since we came in, by the way. We are well received by our colleagues in the military, police, and other institutions. But the most important that we are very well received by the people. Wherever we passed, people were chanting, were cheering to us on our convoy passing. I think you saw some of the videos, and it is not our publicity, it's what was transpiring along the ways.
After capturing the terrorists' headquarters on Sunday, patrols are now being carried out in liberated areas by security organs.
People have begun to return to the town of Palma and surrounding areas in Mozambique's province, Cabo Delgado.
64-year-old Ismail Mohammed is returning to his home in Palma for the first time since he and his family fled from the town, and was grateful to find his house still standing. Noticing that Rwandan police personnel are patrolling his street, he was confident enough to start sweeping and getting ready for the return of his family, but could not call them on his phone to tell them the good news because he had no airtime, and was moved immeasurably when a Rwandan policeman offered him a calling card. I fled with my entire family because of the atrocities that were being committed, but kept a keen eye on what was happening here and listened to the news on the radio. I heard it being reported that Rwandan forces had come to this region and that they were capturing key locations like Mosiboa da Praia. I was very happy and decided to come here to see how things are and if what I was hearing was true. In a few days I will return with my family and I am truly happy to see Rwandan forces here. Others too have been eager for their government to give them the green light to return to their home areas, and none is ignorant of the role Rwandan security forces played in making it happen.
Yani leo tumeongea na wenye Rwanda, hawa ni wakombozi wamekuja kutukomboa.
I am happy that today I have been able to speak to the Rwandans that came to save us because we were not sleeping at night, always troubled. Now we can sleep and we are happy. These are very tough forces that have silenced Al-Shabaab, that had become accustomed to ordering executions as they pleased. Now we no longer see them. We can now freely walk around our own town again and had come to check on our homes. We are all full of happiness. The town of Palma sits on the coast of the Indian Ocean and was left devastated by the terrorists that once occupied it. Nevertheless, people want to return home as soon as possible to begin rebuilding and putting their lives back together again.
Before the end of September this year, France's embassy in Rwanda will have an officer in charge of linking the judiciaries of both countries. Now, the announcement was made on Tuesday during a press conference by France's embassy in the country.
During his visit in Rwanda back in May this year, President Emmanuel Macron of France made his priorities clear when it comes to bilateral relations between both countries.
Ce que je me suis engagé à faire, c'est premièrement de donner tous les moyens.
My first priority is to do everything possible to boost judicial cooperation. Second is to put the necessary infrastructure in place to ensure that suspects face the law. The truth is known and extraditions become possible through the participation of judges.
Qui à chaque fois est requis.
Steps have already been taken to make this possible.
Va y avoir donc un procès, alors je ne sais plus si c'est en octobre ou en novembre, contre un présumé génocidaire.
There is a case of a genocide suspect going to court in October or November, and another prosecutor I spoke to will take his case before a judge towards the end of November or the beginning of December. Both those prosecutors are focusing on properly preparing their cases so that they are not thrown out, because there is nothing worse than that. We also have a department dedicated to fighting crimes against humanity that is comprised of police officers and gendarmerie that supports the prosecution. By the 20th of September, we will have an officer stationed at the embassy in charge of linking that department to prosecutors both in Paris and Kigali.
Le pôle crime contre l'humanité du parquet national antiterroriste de Paris et le parquet de Kigali.
The new chapter of Rwanda-France relations also looks at economic cooperation and investment.
The French government is not anymore in a capacity to tell a private company, come and invest in Rwanda. What we can do is we can organize visits, meetings. We can tell them, well, here in Rwanda you have the right framework for investment. You have a reliable partner. You have, I don't know, a good investment code. You have a law which is stable, with a taxation system also which is stable and so on. For something really bigger, what will be decisive will be the ability to Rwanda to offer an attractive business environment. To show that here there are dedicated people able and willing, to welcome foreign partners, to develop partnerships, to develop maybe joint venture, to allow foreign investment to flourish and to prosper, and then the French companies will come. This is the way.
The clear commitment by leaders in both countries to improve bilateral relations between Rwanda and France is being seen as an important element in boosting French investment in Rwanda.
Now, the Ministry of Health has announced that in order to achieve Rwanda's target of 60% of the population being vaccinated by 2020, this will be based on the availability of adequate numbers of vaccines. Now, those who have been vaccinated say they are far more confident that if infected with COVID-19, their bodies will be in a far better position to fight off the virus. Gabi Muvunyi has brought this report.
Rwanda's vaccination rollout exercise is targeting priority groups like the elderly, workers categorized as high-risk employees, and people with underlying health conditions, among others. Those who have been vaccinated say they are far more confident that if infected with COVID-19, their bodies will be in a far better position to fight off the virus. I am asthmatic. When COVID-19 was first detected in Rwanda, I thought I was going to die. But now I have received the vaccine and I feel good. I encourage the people who have not been vaccinated and are afraid to do so should just go ahead, because it's just like going to the doctor for a simple injection.
The
COVID-19 pandemic is quite aggressive. When the vaccines came, it gave us confidence and hope that we are protected from the virus. We hear that in some countries there is a shortage of vaccines, but we are thankful to our government for providing and protecting us from the virus.
Some countries may require almost all foreign visitors to be fully vaccinated. Those who have been vaccinated for travel purposes commend the government for this initiative.
My child was set to return to school in Mauritius, and that meant they needed to be fully vaccinated. It was not easy to get the vaccine because he is 19, but through legal channels, he was able to be vaccinated.
Getting vaccinated here is quite a speedy process. When they communicate to you the date, you get it done on that said day. In order to receive the vaccine, one needed to be in their 60s, but now the age has been lowered due to the availability of more vaccines. The Ministry of Health says it is too early to confirm if Rwanda's target for 60% by 2022 will be achieved. This will depend on the availability of vaccines.
To vaccinate 60% of the population, we require a lot of vaccines. We bought some, and others we acquired from the COVAX program. But now, I'm not sure of when exactly we will be able to hit our goal. But logistically, we are ready. Both the staff and the volunteers are in large numbers and ready to work. Other than that, there aren't any obstacles we are facing.
Up to date, 693,369 people have received their first jab, while 375,844 have received both their shots. Gabi Movoni, reporting for RTV News.
Thank you, Gabi, for that report. Now, for the third time this year, Bank has awarded its customers who have excelled in using their accounts to send or receive money using digital transactions. Among the prizes awarded were motorcycles, refrigerators, and flat-screen televisions. Those who won the prizes explain how they did it. I feel very happy because I started using digital transactions during the lockdown because before we had run out of cash, so we were told that money can be moved from a bank account to mobile money. So I learned how to do it and I was able to buy food. I wasn't aware that I was involved in a competition with prizes. The head of advertising at Bank, Anthony Iyamuremye, says the awards are part of a campaign launched in May 2021 known as Tugendane, which they urge Rwandans to use digital transactions instead of lining up at the bank for hours and hours. Even right now, one can open up an account online and he or she will be eligible to join the campaign. This campaign is aimed to support the government in the plan of reducing the use of cash transactions, as we also sensitize our clients as well. Currently, our branches close at 2 p.m. due to the curfew hours, and sometimes during the weekends, they are totally closed, which is why it is essential to use digital transactions while staying updated about your bank account. The campaign is still going on and will still have more prizes. The Tugendane campaign is expected to come to a close with the end of August. Prizes include motorcycles, large televisions, refrigerators, bicycles, and smartphones. 14 days after 50 sectors were put under the sector lockdown due to the upsurge of COVID-19, those living in the sectors say they have learned their lesson on the importance of respecting the measures.
ariko guhera ku cyumweru Minisiteri y'Ubuzima.
The cabinet had resolved to put them under lockdown for 14 days ending today. So since Sunday, the Ministry of Health has been conducting tests from several categories of people in cells and different trade centers to establish the status of the pandemic, and the next steps shall be announced very soon. Based on the tests that have been conducted over the last few days, there are some places infections have reduced, while in other places they have increased. But the tests that were taken on Sunday, Monday, as well as today will give us a clear picture. So those still under lockdown should remain as they are until there is a formal announcement of what would have come out of these tests not later than tomorrow. There is no announcement yet for people to get out of lockdown, so they should be patient.
The Ministry of Local Government says that after 14 days have elapsed this Tuesday, the 10th of August, in 50 sectors that were under total lockdown, the Ministry of Health has conducted some tests to ascertain the status in these sectors, which will be released tomorrow for a decision to be made. Now, the Minister of Local Government, Gatabazi Jean-Enve, is asking residents of these sectors to be patient and continue adhering to the set guidelines as they wait for more directives from the authorities.
There was no going in and out in the 50 sectors, and only essential services and workers worked on. These residents say they have learned an important lesson. We now know that COVID-19 kills because many people have died here due to the virus. And honestly, we are scared. And we keep reminding others to be careful. I was personally affected as my children are in Kigali and others elsewhere. I even lost someone at Sehashka Hospital. We protect ourselves by wearing the face mask correctly. We put the face mask above the nose and not below it, and also wash our hands well with soap and water. The local administration says that 14 days was also not easy for them, as they had to move through all sectors, ensuring that all precautionary measures were followed to the letter. They say they too have lessons picked from the sector lockdown. We have seen the numbers go down because when they put us under the lockdown, the numbers were very high because then we were at 700. But now we're 300, and this is the number of those under the home-based care. This also indicates that the citizens are trying their best to reverse the numbers. Based on the analysis of the health sector on the COVID-19, after 50 sectors in 13 districts were exposed to the highest COVID-19 infections from July 28th to August the 10th, 2021, it was placed in a sectoral lockdown.